She didn't knock. She smacked my front door like the house owed her money. And before my coffee finished dripping, I was holding a $350,000 fine in one hand and trying to explain to my 9-year-old daughter why a stranger in designer sunglasses thought she could take our home. That was my third Saturday in Willow Creek Estates. I'd moved in 3 weeks earlier. The house sat on the edge of the neighborhood, big lot, gravel driveway, old wooden fence, weathered little barn out back. My blue pickup looked right at home, their dented tailgate and all. That morning I was half awake in the kitchen when I heard a hard slap against the front door. Not a knock, not a bell, just a sharp whack. I opened it and found this woman standing there in oversized sunglasses, heels too expensive for gravel posture, so stiff she looked offended by oxygen. Behind her, a black luxury SUV idled in the driveway. She didn't say hello, didn't introduce herself. She just turned and started walking back to the SUV. That's when I saw the envelope on my porch. So I called after her, "Hey, you forgot something." She stopped, looked back over those sunglasses, and gave me a thin little smile. "No," she said. "That's exactly where it belongs." I opened the envelope on the porch. HOA logo at the top. Final violation notice in big red letters. Then the amount due, $350,000. I laughed because my brain refused to believe anybody could be that ridiculous before breakfast. I looked up and said, "For what exactly?" That got her walking back toward me. She pulled out a clipboard and started reading. Unapproved fencing, unauthorized outbuilding, commercial vehicle parked on residential property, unauthorized land usage. I glanced toward my truck. "My truck is parked in my own driveway," I said. "And that fence has probably been standing there longer than half this neighborhood." Her smile vanished. "You people always say that." I said I moved in 3 weeks ago. She flipped another page. "Not my problem." Then she pointed at the truck. "That vehicle alone is a violation. This is a premium neighborhood, not a storage yard. I work construction. That teaches you patience, and it teaches you when someone is talking to you like your boots mean you're stupid." I kept my voice even. "I think you've got the wrong guy." She stepped closer. "No," she said quietly. "I know exactly who you are." That was when the front door opened behind me. Lily stuck her head out, hair a mess, still sleepy. "Dad, who is she?" The woman looked at my daughter and sighed like we were exhausting her. "I'm the president of the HOA," she said proudly. "And trust me, I've removed people from this neighborhood before." Lily grabbed the back of my shirt. The woman turned to leave, but before getting into her SUV, she pointed down the street. "Oh, one more thing. A tow truck will be here in about an hour for that ugly truck." My jaw tightened. "That truck isn't going anywhere." She smiled. "We'll see." Lily looked up at me and asked Dad, "Are we in trouble?" I looked down at the notice, $350,000, 10 days lien threats, enough red ink to make the page look wounded. But as I folded the paper, I said, "No, kiddo. They just made a very big mistake." See, the part she didn't know was this. The builder who created Willow Creek Estates had gone bankrupt, and the underlying parcel rights got separated from the home titles. Messy situation, county records kind of messy. And the day before that woman showed up on my porch, I had finalized the purchase of the controlling land parcel at a bank auction. Lily followed me into the driveway while I reread the violations. Fence not approved, barn not registered, commercial vehicle visible from roadway, unauthorized land use. That last one kept making me smile. "Dad," Lily said, "why are you smiling?" "Because whoever wrote this," I said, tapping the page, "didn't do their homework." Then we heard it, the diesel rumble. A yellow tow truck rolled around the corner and stopped at the end of my driveway. The driver climbed out, looked at my pickup, then at me, already regretting his day. "You the owner of the blue truck?" "Yep." He scratched the back of his neck. "Look, man, I'm just doing a job. HOA called it in. Said if the vehicle wasn't moved by noon, tow it." Lily edged closer to me and he noticed right away. His tone softened. "I can give you 5 minutes if you want to move it." I was about to answer when another engine pulled up behind him. The HOA president stepped out smiling like she was arriving at a parade instead of trying to humiliate somebody in front of his kid. "Well," she said, glancing at the tow truck, perfect timing. She pointed at my pickup. "That vehicle needs to be removed immediately." The driver looked between us. "Ma'am, he says it's his truck." "It's not about ownership," she snapped. "It's about the rules." Then she looked at Lily and said in this sweet poison voice, "Your father moved into a community he clearly can't afford." The tow driver started hooking chains under the frame. Metal clanked against metal. She leaned toward me and said quietly, "You have 10 days to pay that fine. After that, this house becomes HOA property." I looked at her for a second, then pulled out my phone. She tilted her head. "Oh, this should be good. Who are you calling?" "The county land records office," I said. "And the property manager." She laughed. That's adorable. The HOA is the property manager. I shook my head. No, you really aren't. Behind us, the tow truck engine revved. Then my phone rang. I put it on speaker. A calm older voice answered. Daniel County Land Records. I said, Daniel, can you confirm who legally owns parcel 22C? There was a pause. Some paper shuffling keyboard clicks. Then Daniel said, according to county records, parcel 22C was transferred yesterday afternoon and is currently registered under your name. The woman snorted. Cute. But Daniel wasn't finished. Parcel 22C includes the underlying subdivision tract for Willow Creek Estates. Everything stopped. Tow truck idling chains hanging under my pickup, that weird silence you get when reality walks into the room. I looked straight at her. Which means I said every house on this street, including yours, is sitting on land I now own. Lily stared up at me. The HOA president blinked once, then gave this shaky little laugh. That's ridiculous. I asked Daniel, can you confirm the transfer time? Recorded yesterday at 3:42 p.m., finalized and active. The tow driver immediately started unhooking the chains. The woman snapped, he's lying, finish the tow. The driver didn't move. So I asked him quietly, do you like your job? He nodded. Then I'd stopped touching my vehicle. The chain dropped onto the gravel with a hard metallic slap, and I swear that sound felt better than a victory speech. Her face went bright red. You think this changes anything? This neighborhood has an HOA contract. Everyone here follows the rules. I took the violation notice back and flipped to the last page. Interesting part is you fined me for unauthorized land usage. Yes. I nodded down the road at the line of neat houses. Then you may want to reread that clause because technically every single one of those houses is using my land. The tow driver muttered, oh, that is bad. And for the first time all morning, she looked scared. She called the board. Her voice started sharp, then got faster, then louder. What do you mean, recorded yesterday? What do you mean nobody checked the parcel map? Lily tugged my hand. Dad, did you buy the whole neighborhood? I almost laughed. Not exactly kiddo, but enough to make people read before they threaten somebody. People like that count on you exploding. They build a version of you in their head, then wait for you to perform it. Old truckwork boots, weathered barn. She saw all that and decided she knew my whole life. That's the trap of small power. Give somebody a clipboard and a rule book and they stop seeing neighbors. They start seeing targets. About an hour later, the HOA board's attorney showed up with 2 nervous board members. Same driveway, same truck, same barn. Totally different tone. The violation notice got withdrawn on the spot. The tow order was canceled in writing. The attorney asked for a formal meeting to review easements, parcel rights, and development agreements. The HOA president tried one last time to talk over everybody. The attorney finally turned to her and said, flat as a hammer, ma'am, I strongly recommend you stop making unilateral threats on property matters you do not understand. That line hit harder than yelling ever could. A week later, the board held an emergency meeting. By then, the facts were clear. I couldn't evict people and nobody was about to lose a house. Real estate law is messy, not magical. But the HOA couldn't bully me either. They couldn't invent authority they didn't actually have. They couldn't tow vehicles off land they never bothered to verify. The fines were voided. A formal apology was issued. And before the month was over, the HOA president was gone. My truck, meanwhile, stayed right where it was by the barn, crooked in the gravel, dented tailgate, catching the evening light like it had won something. That whole mess taught me something I wish more people understood. Curiosity is a form of respect. If she had knocked on my door and said, hey, welcome to the neighborhood, can we talk about a few things? This story ends with paperwork, coffee, and maybe a joke about my ugly truck. Instead, she came in swinging because she thought power meant certainty. It doesn't. Sometimes power just means you haven't been corrected yet. And the bigger lesson for me had nothing to do with land records. It was watching Lily see that staying calm can be stronger than getting loud. Laws matter, paperwork matters, ownership matters. But the way people use power tells you who they really are. Some people want order, some people want control. Those are not the same thing. Still, I won't lie, watching that tow truck drive away empty felt pretty damn satisfying. So let me ask you this, when somebody abuses a little bit of authority and karma comes back wearing a county seal, is that justice? Or just a smarter kind of revenge? Tell me what you think. Was that HOA president completely out of line? Or was she just doing the job the system trained her to do? And if you've ever dealt with an HOA, a landlord, or some petty little tyrant with a clipboard, I want to hear your story too.